Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago. Actually, it's 3:02 p.m. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late today, but it's time for another live stream. It is. Hold on, I feel really loud today. Sorry about that. Let's turn. Oh, there. That's more like it. That's more normal. All right. Sorry, I was in a rush. But it is Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day 2021. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Valentine's Day. My girls are pretty excited about Valentine's Day. Everything is definitely decorated for Valentine's Day. My daughter set up almost like a Valentine's Day like carnival in the house. There's a Valentine's Day gift shop, a Valentine's Day craft making station, and then a Valentine's Day hugging booth. So if you wanted a hug, you could get the hug for Valentine's Day. So it was really nice. It was a great way to, well, not wake up, but like to come back from my run because I was super cold. For my run today, another sub-zero day. There's been too many sub-zero days. I'm getting very tired of it. And that's why I'm running a little bit late today. I ended up taking a little bit of a nap, falling asleep on the couch for a little bit. And then I was up in time, but like I was a little groggy from the nap. So I just got going a little bit slower. So that's why I'm running a little bit late. Sorry about that, everybody. My apologies. But I'm so glad to have you guys here. Everyone listening on the podcast, on the audio version, hopefully you're having a good run today, and hopefully it's not nearly as cold where you are as it was for me this morning. And for everyone watching on this YouTube later, not live, welcome to you guys as well. All right, let's see who we got here today. We got Steven Gersdorf, who is here, and Jim Theo says, I'm going to bed in a few. It's 10 p.m. there. Yeah, I mean, I love it that people are watching from all sorts of different time zones, and so we're getting different perspectives. I don't know that I don't know. Maybe this would be good for me to do this later in the evening. Cause like I always try to, maximize my day. And I feel like towards the end of the evening, I'm usually not so productive in terms of getting like things done, but sitting down for a live stream, I think I could probably do pretty well. Although on the other hand, I think I'd be so tired, I wouldn't be very chatty. So I don't know if it would be good. So I think the 3 p.m. is good for me. Oren McGowan is here, says, hey, what's going on, Oren? And CV76 says, yo, what's going on? All right, John Koulianos coming in with a running question today says, what's going on, John? Says, what's a good 15-minute tempo workout? Yeah, I think that if you want, I mean, the tempo and workout are kind of like two vague terms in terms of what people mean by it. For me, when I hear tempo, I think threshold, the pace that you could hold. If you were racing, like not flat out, but racing, you could hold that for like anywhere between 40 minutes and 60 minutes. So that's kind of like threshold pace for me. So like not a pace you could run for 40 to 60 minutes, but if it was a race day, like at the end of that, you'd be wiped out. You'd be like, legs are dead. There's no energy left in them. You couldn't make me run anymore after that. So it's a relatively rigorous pace. When people say comfortably hard, I don't think that's right. But maybe I'm doing my tempo workouts wrong. But that's what my understanding of what threshold is. And so for a 50-minute tempo workout, if you're looking for 50 minutes of threshold time, that's a big workout. That's a lot. And I'd probably look to do it in like 4 bouts of 12 and a half minutes of threshold work, 2.5 to 3 minutes rest in between, if that's what you're doing. That's a big day. That's a lot of work. But if you're looking for a 50-minute workout with tempo in it, the other way to look at it would be, so like let's do a 10-minute warm-up, 10-minute cool down, and you're looking at 30 minutes of time in the middle, then I wouldn't do 30 minutes of tempo work. That's going to be pretty rigorous as well. I would look at maybe, 8 minutes or 7 minutes on, 2.5 to 3 minutes off to fill up that 30 minutes and do that 3 times. Or you could do 10 times 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. If you're looking for a little bit more of like a fartlek type workout, or like 2.5, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. I think 2.5 to 30 seconds would be a little bit too short of recovery. But I think that's kind of like the way I would look at it is figure out how much, I look at it more as not how much is the total workout going to be. I look at it as how much threshold time do I want to have built in. And for me right now with my level of fitness, right now I'm looking at an 8K as well, rather than training for a marathon. So my threshold time for a workout is looking a little bit different. Right now, the Jack Daniels plan that I'm on, my threshold day, I did 5 by mile of threshold work. So, that's like about 30. Well, the way Jack Daniels writes the program, it should have been about 30 minutes of total work. So that's kind of the other way to look at it. All right, running on empty is coming in from a rainy North Carolina. What's going on? CV76 says Jack Daniels and tosses up a glass. I think maybe that's going to be the new. Maybe that Jack Daniels will be the new word of the day. We'll start that tomorrow. We'll start that tomorrow. For new word of the day will be Jack Daniels. All right. Orrin McGowan says, where'd it go? Orrin McGowan says, thinking of picking up the Adidas RC2s. Are they any good? I think the RC2s are interesting because it's kind of like a race version of the SL20. I think it's like a millimeter or two lower in stack height, but otherwise set up as pretty much the same shoe. And then the upper is more of a racing upper rather than like a football cleat. I think you guys call it football over there. We would call it a soccer. It feels like a soccer cleat to me, the upper on the SL20. The RC2 has more of like a racing shoe or a running shoe type of upper. The thing is, unless you need it now, I might hold off because I feel like Adidas in 2021 is revamping the entire line. And I don't know about the RC2, what's going to be coming from there, but like the Boston 9, from the images that I've seen so far, the Boston 9, the Adios are all going to be very different. There's going to be the Adios Pro, the Adios Pro X, or something else, some other variant of the Adios Pro. I haven't seen anything or heard anything about the Adizero Adios Pro. So it'll be interesting to see what Adidas is doing. But if you're looking for like a pretty stripped down racer that's a little bit more of the old school feel to it, then I think and you need it now, I think the RC2 would be pretty interesting, especially if you would like the SL20. Otherwise, the SL20 is pretty cool too. All right. Balster says, can you shout out my brother Thomas, please? He loves your channel. What's going on, Thomas? Where's Thomas? Thomas should be here listening too. Then Thomas can be like, yo, I love the channel. Can you shout me out? And I'll say hi to Thomas. But I'll say hi to Balster. Just kidding. I'll say hi to Balster and Balster's brother, Thomas. Welcome, everybody. All right. Affluent Journey says, thanks to Kofuzi, SJ, and others, did my first half marathon today. Awesome. Good job, AJ. I don't know if your initials are AJ, but I'll call you AJ because it's Affluent Journeys. Oh, how'd it go? You got to let us know. You can't leave us with a cliffhanger. How did it feel? All right. Servando Briggs says, I'm seeing the Kinvara 11s for $80. Are they good for easy runs? I like them for easy runs. They're a little bit on the thinner side, not minimalist, but lower stack height of a shoe. So like if you like other shoes, like other shoes it kind of reminds me of are like the Reebok Float Ride. It reminds me of a little bit of the Atreyu, the base model. So like those are other kind of like lower stack height shoes that have pretty good road feel, are pretty good at absorbing impact, but not plush, but also good for a lot of just daily training, easy miles. All right, Carlos is back. Says, hi, everyone. Haven't been in a while. So glad to be here. Well, we're so glad to have you back, Carlos. Good to see you again. Gustavo Roman Jr. says, any thoughts on the New Balance Rebel version 2? There's a lot of hype coming out from it, not from New Balance, but from reviewers. So people are very excited about the shoe, it seems. And it's very infectious. I liked the Rebel 1 a lot. It just came out, I think I got it at a weird time where I didn't get a lot of chance to run in it. I had it when we were down in Guttenberg in Iowa, where I was running on a lot of dirt roads and very hilly dirt roads. And it's not really a hilly dirt road kind of shoe. So it just didn't work out for me then. And by then, by the time we then were from Guttenberg over to New Vienna, things are still a little bit hilly, but a lot of dirt roads still. So like I never really had a lot of time to really enjoy it. But I'm definitely going to pick up the version 2, and I'm looking forward to it quite a bit because there's been some interesting comparisons people are making so far. So I try not to read too much of that, but it just kind of has already seeped in. Sometimes it sneaks in, and definitely it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good shoe. Dr. Nader says, have you ever used Runalyze to track your progress? It takes Strava data and presents it in a really cool way. I'm not sure that I have. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure. All right. Jim Theo 2 says, I can't wait for some of the rumored lower stack Zoom X shoes from Nike. In the meantime, the Saucony Freedom 4 might be nice. Yeah, I saw a lot of images of that Zoom something. It's supposed to be like no, like a next percent, but without the carbon plate and lower to the ground. Kind of, I'm thinking it sounds to me like a Zoom Street, but like with Zoom X rather than Phylon. So it looked interesting. Yeah, I'm keen to try it. But it might be like one of the first like Nike shoes that we've seen in a while as far as the racers go. But where it's like, this isn't a marathon shoe, and that's okay because it's not supposed to be. Because I feel like all the Nike shoes have been more like, yeah, you can run a half marathon, you can run a full marathon. If you're an Ingebrigtsen, you can break a national record in the 5K in it. You know, like people have been running all sorts of distances with all of the Zoom X carbon shoes, and seeing a lot of success in them. But like what I've seen in other brands, carbon plated shoes is like not a lot of them seem to be geared for, and I think I use the word geared intentionally. They don't just seem to be tuned quite for the marathon, but a lot of them are for the half marathon. But it'll be interesting to see how Nike approaches that. And it'll then be interesting to see like how like at least the elites pick between Alphafly, Next Percent, and this other, I forget the name of the new one. But yeah. And the Freedom 4, it looks great. And it seems like, again, from like the early stuff that I've heard, is that it seems to have a little bit more focus. The Freedom has been a little bit kind of like, we made a shoe. We'll see what you guys think of it. You know, that's kind of been the approach. I feel like this time they were like, here's what we're trying to accomplish with this shoe. And I feel like that like makes it make a little bit more sense because it's more purpose built rather than just like, we'll try messing around with the upper and then making the foam a little bit something and then, you know, see what we'll get. So there. It's going to be an exciting time. I mean, it's hard for me right now. Right now, I'm in the point where I'm so fatigued by all this cold weather and how much cold weather we've been having that I'm like, it's never going to get warm. It's just going to feel like this for the next like 3-4 months. It's just going to be so cold. And it very well may be. It could be one of those springs that just takes forever to get started. I feel like last spring took forever to get started. But right now, I'm like a little bit kind of worried, I guess is the right word. Worried that like for this virtual race that I have coming up, the Shamrock Shuffle 8K, I'm like, I don't really want to race a virtual 8K in like 5-degree Fahrenheit weather. I just don't. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not going to be able to mentally get into the right space for that. And I'm already like, how am I going to deal with the disappointment of that slower time? I'm like already getting ready for it. And I know I got to work on that and get that out of my mind. But getting some warmer temperatures would help. But looking at the forecast, it doesn't look good. Like tomorrow, we're supposed to get another several inches of snow. And tomorrow was the day that I was really looking forward to on the calendar. On my training plan, tomorrow's long run is a mile warm up, 10 moderate miles, and then 6 strides. That's a fun workout. That should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. But the temperature I think is scheduled to be 5 degrees Fahrenheit and snowing. And while that'll be fun to run in, it's going to be difficult to do that workout in. So it's just been really draining on me. And I guess maybe I can move the workout to Tuesday, but Tuesday isn't a much better day. So it's just like, I'm in a funk a little bit because of this weather. I don't know. I think a lot of people are getting there or already there in terms of the weather. All right. Chris Dyke said, first snow run yesterday. Found it very difficult to run within a power range consistently. Yeah. You know what, Chris, though, what I've been doing, just because it's been so cold here, is and I want to just keep my watch covered because I just don't want that part of my wrist to be exposed to the elements. You know, I know what kind of like I set up the workout on the watch so that it'll automatically like click over to the next spot, and I can use like a series, it'll like buzz me when it's time for me to go to the next thing. And I can, you know, peek and see like how much more time do I have or how much more distance do I have till the next like phase of the workout. But for the most part, I've just been like, all right, I know I got to do this next mile at threshold pace. So I'm just going to go by feel. And I don't care what the power is, because like, when conditions are slippery, it just messes with your traction. It messes with your push off. And I just feel like I don't want to deal with that. You know, I'm kind of disappointed with the numbers later, but then I'm just like, I don't want to be disappointed with it in the workout and later. Maybe just we'll eliminate it to just one disappointment. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I like when I'm doing strides, 200s, 400s, I kind of know what the intensity is supposed to feel like, and I'm running whatever that is. And yeah, what I find is I'm at least consistent in terms of like pacing and power output. So what I feel like I'm doing, I'm actually doing it kind of the same. It doesn't always match what I'm hoping for. So like, I feel like, maybe I could get more performance or like more productivity out of myself if I were constantly looking at the watch and trying to get that power number down. But like, I mean, today's run, for example, like I kept fiddling with my buff and it's all like wet/frozen because it was so cold out. And if I lifted it up too high, it would catch my eyelash and then like stick to my eyelash and then be frozen. So I can't like see half the time I'm out there. And it's just, I'm just trying to be like more gentle to myself and be like, I got out there and I ran hard. That's kind of enough. So like, I've been not worrying too much about power ranges right now, which again, makes it hard to like feel like, am I training right for this AK? So I don't know. Scotty B says, I look at watch way less than -36. Just go. Yeah. I mean, today I was out there for an hour and 13 minutes, I think was my run. And that was probably about 13 minutes too long because at about the hour mark, my buff froze and it just wouldn't stay up no matter what I did. So it came down. And so now my whole face, not my hat area, but my whole face is exposed. And I felt like I was getting windburned and skin damage from the cold. And I was just struggling. And then after a while, I didn't even notice it anymore. So I'm like, all right, so face is numb. That's one thing that's going on. And I was just like, this run should have ended a long time ago. I made a little bit of a mistake. I should have cut it short. But I got in the miles, but it was rigorous. It was tough. And then I needed to take a nap today. So it was not my goal of having an easy day today, not quite objective fulfilled. So, yeah. All right. Dara Singh said, done a 10K yesterday at uphill, very tiring. Please give my niece Tia Preet a shout out. What's going on, Tia Preet? How you doing? Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, Chris says, yeah, the Garmin buzzes when it's out of prescribed range and it'll continue if you don't adjust. It's good, but it can be annoying. Yeah, the Polar you can set it to being in the right heart rate range or in the right, I think you can set it for pace ranges. But you can't set it for you can set it for, I'm not sure if you could set it as precise as like mile pace and like marathon pace or threshold pace. So it's different kinds of like ranges. So like, I don't find those ranges very useful. I usually set it either to nothing as far as like beeping for ranges or for heart rate. So, so that's something it can do. I really wish I could set it for a power range. That would be something that would be really helpful for me. Harry Hughes says, did you see Ben Park's latest video when he got injured doing 1K repeats? It's been -4 to -1 degrees in the UK. And how much do you think weather plays a part in injuries? I did see that video, and it's very distressing, to see that because I felt like he was feeling really good coming back off the ankle surgery. And it was the same side as where his ankle is, right? If I'm remembering it correctly in terms of his calf. I think he explained where he thinks it is. I didn't see that follow-up video on that. But I'm wondering if it's like, maybe some weakness that's developed in that calf and now it's catching up, to his workouts. And so maybe like the other like 95% of his body is more fit than that 1-5%. So maybe that's what it is. Just conjecture. I don't know what he actually thinks it is or if he's gotten any medical confirmation from it. But I would, if it's the same side, I would say that's probably more what it is. But other than that, I do think that like the weather can have a part in injury, no matter like how warm you are. So like that could be it. I think for someone like me, it probably doesn't make as big a difference. The bigger risk of injury for me wouldn't be so much cold temperatures, it would be like slipping, like just not having good traction. Like maybe my leg like slips out a little bit or does something funny on the push off. That at my kind of pace and my level. But at Ben's level, it can certainly make bigger difference because he's getting much more like performance out of his muscles than I am. So I think it could be part of it, but I wouldn't say it like the temperatures that you guys have had over there in the UK that I'd be like, no, you can't do a workout at the temperature. But I don't remember how it looked like. It wasn't dry where he was, but it didn't look wet either. So I don't know if that had a part to it either. All right, Carlos says, I ran in the Peg Trail 2 on Friday. So far, I like it. I've been a big fan of the Peg Trail 2. It's just been it's been like the perfect like Chicago winter running shoe. I mean, take the word trail out of it, and I don't care if it's trail, quote unquote, with a capital T or a lowercase t, But for me, it's been great because most of the time I'm on pavement, but sometimes it's snow covered, and sometimes I'm on snowpack, and sometimes I'm on stuff that's less stable than snowpack. So for the variety of things that I might encounter, it lets me go kind of like wherever I need to be going. And today's run got me to the 100-mile mark, so a follow-up video will be coming on that soon, a couple days. David Lidstone's here. What's going on, David? Good to see you. Max Palsy says, Guten Tag. Hello, Max. How are you? All right. Scott says, hi, everybody. Glad I saw that it was time to join. Awesome. Good to see you again, Scott. Stevie76 says, the running hazard of falling branches from snow and ice? Question mark. Texas governor lost use of his legs when a tree branch fell on him while running. Is that true? That seems like a fluke accident. That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's bizarre. When I met Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor of Chicago for a time, he has lost part of his, I think it's his right ring finger, like from like the middle knuckle down. I forget. He explains it whenever he speaks in front of children. He always explains it to them because when he waves, so the kids notice it. I forget why, but when you shake his hand, you notice it. It's kind of like, oh, that's strange. It doesn't feel quite like a normal handshake. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't a running injury. I want to say it was some sort of farm equipment or some sort of equipment injury, like machinery. Jeff Elliott said, I had mid-30s and rain, and a solid 4 of my 12 miles were in a really consistent cold headwind. That sounds, mid-30s and rain, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. That's when I see that in the forecast, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I can move stuff around in my day and I can run in the afternoon if that's possible. Like that, I will move things around for mid-30s and rain. For temperatures, I'm like, it's going to be cold, whatever. But for mid-30s and rain, so good on you, Jeff. Because I feel like the thing is, not only do I just not like mid-30s and rain, but I feel like I just feel like I get sick like every time I do that. And so like I'm just so nervous that I'm like, if I do this, it's going to put me out of commission for like 2 weeks because I might still be able to run, but I'm just going to feel terrible for 2 weeks afterwards. That's kind of how I feel. And maybe that's just, I'm overreacting to it, but I just don't like it. Carm 1200 says about Rahm, he said he cut it off at Arby's slicing meat. I don't know if you're joking or not. No, I'm gonna have to Google that now. I'll follow up with you guys. But I can't tell if you're joking, but it could be right. I don't know. All right. Scott says there's a falling icicle warning today in New Jersey. Yeah, Chicago always has falling ice warnings. Like all the buildings downtown, they have like sandwich signs, like those placard signs that like stand on the ground. It says watch for, or they have like a sign that clearly they had bought and like for the purpose of always bringing out whenever it's icy out, because like the ice will build up on the windows, and then when the sun hits it, it'll melt all the ice up top, and then it'll either slide down or just fall off the glass. All right, CR says, would the Nike Zoom X Invincible be suitable for easy runs, about approximately 7 minutes per kilometer? Currently doing some 1 hour runs, but working towards 2 hour runs. What about the New Balance 880 version 10 for the same thing? Thanks. I think both would be great. I really like the New Balance 880 version 10. I feel like, I don't know about the 10. I have the version 11, and I am really loving it, which is a surprise to me because it has a lot of kind of like features that like on paper I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna like this one, but I end up really liking it. It seems like no frills, get to business, just running shoe, for those like easy runs, putting in long miles, getting in from your normal run to like I'm looking to push it longer. perfect use for it. I think the Zoom X Invincible is also a great shoe for that. The 880 is gonna feel kind of more like an A6. That's kind of like what I feel like. If New Balance made an A6, it'd be the 880 version 11 is the one that I have. I think the 880 version 10 isn't that different. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But I also feel like it does it in a way, they like New Balance makes an old school A6 shoe more than I like ASICS making an old school A6 shoe. Does that make sense? So I do like that one quite a bit. The Zoom X Invincible is a shoe that, I don't know, like the more I talk about it, the less I can the more I run in it. I mean, the less I feel like I have like kind of like a coherent way of explaining it. It just feels like a shoe that I put on and I can just run. It's a nice, like, thoughtless shoe. I don't have to think about it. You just put it on, you can run for a really long time. So I do really like about it. You know, I just feel like it soaks up a lot of that road impact. You know, it disconnects you from the ground a little bit. So like if you really like road feel, if you like feeling low to the ground, I mean, neither of those shoes is going to be great. So that's one thing, but like it's not super squishy. You're not thinking about how soft and squishy it is. You don't feel anything magical. You don't feel like you're rolling too much. You don't feel anything. You just feel like you're running. And then your mind tends to wander when you're in it just because you're not thinking about like the shoe. It's just really good. It's really amazing. All right. Louis Becerra's here, says, yo, what's going on? Late, but made it. Better late than never, Louis. Good to see you. Simon N is here now as well. And Albert says, looking forward to another snowy run in Vancouver after the live stream. All right. Well, hope you have a good one. Be safe out there, Albert. And Mary says, what do you think about the New Balance version 11s? I just got them in last night. I'll be filming them. I guess shoot some B-roll of it tonight. And then I'll probably run in on Tuesday. And then the video will probably come out maybe Thursday or so. So it'll give me a couple of days. But I mean, I don't know too much about it. I looked at it, you know, I opened the box, took a look at the shoe. First impressions, it just in the box without even putting the shoe on, is it seems like it's streamlined quite a bit from the version 10. Now I know that New Balance says like it's not like a big revolution; it's just a evolutionary iteration on the 1080. So I don't expect there be a ton of changes to it, but this one seems like, I don't know, a lot less bulky. It's almost kind of like, is this trying to be a daily trainer? Because last year, the 1080 version 10 was like, this is squarely in the max cushion shoe range. Everything about it is big. This version 11 seems like, I don't know I don't know where they're going for. So, I mean, maybe that just might be like my memory remembers that shoe as being giant. And so I don't know, but that's just some kind of early thoughts so far. But I'm really looking forward to it. I have a feeling I'm going to be able to log miles in it like that. Because I feel like it's going to be really good. All right, Greg MD28 says, oh, it's true. Rom did work in a deli in high school and he cut off on the slicer and it got infected. Okay. But was it an Arby's? That'd be kind of funny. I mean, not that losing a finger is funny. But okay, he did. So it's not. It wasn't in a machine. But he did lose it in a slicer. All right. All right. Neville Kalaga says, if I said that right, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. It says, hi, I just got a Stryd pod. Do you suggest I set pace and distance to always? Any other settings that I should consider? Yeah, you know what? It's been a really long time since I got a Stryd foot pod, so I don't remember what settings I set to it. But I've set it up to be the pace and distance for all my runs from when it's paired to any of my watches. I don't know that there's anything that I had to set to the Stryd pod to use it. I think I just made sure it was connected to my phone or connected to my watch, and that's it. So I don't really remember anything to it. The only thing that I would, you might want to do is if you're not, unless you're currently like about to be or are in the middle of a structured training plan and you just have it and you're like, in between races, that kind of thing, I would look at doing one of like, there's a part of the subscription training plans that it has. One is like a kind of get to know Stryd plan that's out there. And what it'll do is over the course of several days is it'll give you a couple of different workouts that you can do that will help feed data to the foot pod that it needs to understand you as an entire runner. So that's the thing that I would recommend if you have the time to do that. Carm 1200 says it was Arby's. Okay, I'm gonna Google it. He says so in an interview with 60 Minutes. Okay, I mean, I didn't know if you were joking because I just came off of Twitter a little while ago and there was a lot of Arby's jokes. I don't know why. So that's why I was like, oh, I mean, Arby's is like the fast food chain that's really fun to like tease all the time. But so I didn't know if it was a joke. But you know, I believe you. All right. Affluent Journeys asks, have you tried any of those carbon insoles? I haven't tried any of the carbon insoles. I was thinking about them the other day. I'm trying to think of why was I thinking about them the other day. Yeah. But like, I remember thinking, oh, here's what I was thinking about though. I was on a run. I remember exactly where I was on the run. I was making a right-hand turn, about to make a left-hand turn. So like I visually, I can remember exactly where I was when I had this thought. But I remember thinking that like when you first saw those commercials for those carbon insoles, they're like the victory ones that the guy makes. He's like really hammering down on the carbon insole, right? And then he lets go of it and it like shoots up in the air and it looks super awesome. You know, I was like, you know, that's a pretty, I mean, that looked pretty impressive. That's pretty effective. It makes me think, ooh, I want like that level of spring with each step. And then I was like, that's also like a very salesman-y type of thing. Like when people are selling knives on TV and they're like, look, it slices through water bottles and then you can slice through a tomato. You know, like I felt like it's kind of like, it isn't a good depiction of what the product can do, but it's like set up in such a way that it's very like showman-y, you know, in like a follow me camera guy kind of way, you know. So like I just didn't, it was always like a little bit off-putting whenever I watched those commercials, impressive and off-putting at the same time. And then the main like new thought that I had about it, other than my initial thought that I've had for a long time about those insoles, is, you know, I spent a lot of time in 2020 really thinking about all the different carbon fiber shoes that are out there and really realizing like how they tune like the shape and the rigidity and like the thickness, I guess, of the carbon fiber plate really matters, especially in relation to like, you know, the nature of the foam that's carrying it. Because like some shoes, like I think the carbon is very springy and like floppy almost, and other shoes, the carbon seems very rigid. Either the foam is really thick, so I'm not getting to the carbon to bend it, or like the plate might be thicker and I'm just not bending. I'm not feeling it quite the right way unless I'm running very, very hard. So like the Endorphin Pro is a shoe that comes to mind for that. Like unless I'm running at like half marathon pace or faster, I feel like all I'm getting is the foam. I don't feel like I'm getting a benefit of the carbon. And then I was just thinking about that and thinking, you know what? I wonder if in those Victory carbon plated carbon insoles, like would I even know that they're in there, or would it just feel like I got something hard in my shoe? I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I need to try it then, but like I'm just not that interested in it. All right. Ben wants to know. Did you watch the Monaco 5K? Shame they messed up the coverage for the women's race. I didn't watch any of the Monaco racing. I do want to watch it though. See what's available. I don't know if I have it available to me. I did watch the New Balance Indoor GP. Is that what it was called? That race? That was a good meet. There was a lot of stars at that place and at that meet, and a lot of solid performances. So that was a really good race to watch. So I did really enjoy that one though. But I'd like to see, I feel like that Monaco race had a little bit more of the stuff that, well, I mean, the New Balance track meet had a lot of stars that I actually knew who they were, which is not always the case when I watch a track meet. But I feel like a lot of the other things, like shoe-wise, I feel like, you know, I don't care about spikes. So like what they're wearing doesn't interest me like at all. But like what they were wearing what some of the athletes were wearing at Monaco does interest me quite a bit. So like I do want to watch that and just see those shoes in motion. So I'm going to see if I can try and find it. All right. Sean Marshall wants to know best bang for buck winter tights co. I think that probably I would go with Under Armour. they make a couple of different thicknesses. I mean, it's Under Armour. That's what they do. Like base layers is what they do. I think is really great. So like if we're talking about base layers, Under Armour, the stuff that can go underneath, I think is the best. But like if we're talking about like winter pants to wear, bang for a buck. See, I mean, I don't know. I have to think about that a little bit because some of the ones that I'm wearing the most frequently now, when it gets real cold like it is now, I'm not wearing tights all that frequently. I'm usually wearing, base layer tights. Either TCAs are really cheap, but they're not super warm. So I'll wear that, and then the long sock, and then a relatively like form-fitting jogger type of pant on top. So that's kind of like my most frequent wear these days. I don't like the Roadrunner long tights that I love in the fall and like in like early winter. The material is very cold when it gets to be like, in single digit Fahrenheit temperature. So it's not my favorite, like, hardcore winter tight. And then I'd say the Tracksmith ones are good, especially the line one is nice, but bang for buck, they are a little bit pricey. So I wouldn't say it's a good bang for buck, or the best bang for buck. So I'd probably look at, the Under Armour ones. I think those are probably going to be the best bet. Steven Gersdorf said, Arby's, we got the meat, but we give you the finger. Oh, that's funny. All right. Mark Salzman says, what is a Jack Daniel run or a training plan? Jack Daniel is, he's a coach, but he wrote Jack Daniel's running something. I forget the book. Everyone just calls it the Jack Daniels book. There's been multiple editions of it. It's like tons and tons of copies sold. He takes, I think a lot of high school and college coaches develop plans based on a lot of kind of like how he breaks things down, because a lot of his plans and the things that he talk about are structured to kind of coincide exactly with a cross country season, for example. So that's who Jack Daniel is. He's I believe he was a coach, but he also wrote a book that a lot of people read, his running programs book. So that's when I say I'm doing a Jack Daniels plan, I'm taking the concepts from his book. He usually uses 4 phases. The first phase is kind of like just a base, getting like into basic fitness phase. So most people that are doing a Jack Daniels plan don't have to do phase 1. 2 and 3 are the main work phases, and 4 is kind of like if you were racing, and this is like kind of like the end of the season / postseason. So it's like every weekend, his phase 4 is like assumes that there's a race on the weekend. So most people do like a phase 2 and a phase 3, but his phases are like 6 weeks long. So it's like, I don't know anyone, unless you are doing a high school or a college kind of like cross country season training plan for him. I don't know that a lot of people do like a full on, even like marathon training plan with Jack Daniels. You kind of like adapt it a little bit for how you do it. Andrew Jut says he had 28.6K, 500 meters of vert in snowing conditions, and a great run this morning. Whew. I'm tired just thinking about that. The Asics Fuji Trabuco Light are great. I'm not familiar with that shoe. Oh, interesting. Great run, Andrew. It's impressive. All right. Jana says, if I was looking for something cheap, I'd search Decathlon. I love their stuff. I was looking at Decathlon today because I was thinking, should we maybe we'll do a shopping day on Decathlon? And I think they do ship to the US, or they do have, the ability to get, maybe, I don't know if they're in the US or they ship to the US. But I was looking at some of their shoes, because it looks like they don't, like, I thought Decathlon was more like kind of like Jackrabbit is around here, or like Running Warehouse, where they sell a bunch of brands. But it looks like they, at least for the shoes, the only shoes that I saw were Decathlon brand shoes. And I was looking at some of them and I was like, these are interesting. I love the way that they market their shoes. The way that they market the shoes are, this is a shoe intended for 7-mile runs or longer. And you should be able to get 600 kilometers out of this shoe. Like, that's the description of the shoe. And I was like, boom, beautiful. I love it. I know exactly what this shoe is. You know what I mean? So I was just like, that's great. So I was like, I'm tempted to buy a shoe from them just for that reason, because I really love the way that they're explaining what their shoes are. But then I look at the shoes and they just look like shoes that you see on Amazon sometimes. And it's just like, and you're like, is this a shoe that's a real shoe? Or is this a shoe that is this kind of like a shoe version of like the weird knockoff Bluetooth earbuds? I don't know. So like when I look at the Decathlon shoes, it's like a weird trip. Like you go back, and when I look at the Decathlon shoes, I'm like, oh, that looks exactly like a Pegasus 34. So like I'm looking back and I'm just like being reminded of a lot of other designs. So it's really interesting. But maybe I'll pick up some Decathlon shoes just because it'd be an interesting little experiment. All right. Hamish Thomas says, hi, Kofuzi, what's the best value under $100 for a max cushion running shoe for easy days? We talked about this yesterday. Someone else has the same question, Hamish. I think we established yesterday that the 1080 version 10, so not this year's version that just came out, but last year's version, can be found under $100. I can't verify that, but I'm pretty sure that it can be found. A couple of people said that they have found it that way. So that's one that I would look at. Scott said he ordered the peanut butter coffee bars. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They are available. They're back in stock online. Crazed Foods or Emma Abrahamson's company. Yeah, the bars are back in stock. I don't know if they were back in stock like 2 or 3 days ago. So I don't know. We'll see if they're still in stock. But yeah, they were. So it's good to see that they're restocking. And hopefully what was I listening to of hers the other day? I'm trying to think of what was I listening to where she was on. And she was saying that she's working on some other flavors. So I'm looking forward to that. And Benoit can confirm that Decathlon will also have their own brand stuff, clothing, gear, and shoes. Okay, cool. That helps me understand it a little bit more. But Jana says they do sell some Asics. Looking at their Kip Run Ultralight, it's basically a racing flat, and I'm really interested, even though it might be pretty firm. Yeah. So like when I look at the shoes and like it seems like they really are valuing a lot value, and so like if there's only 3 sentences to describe the shoe and one of those sentences talks about how long it's supposed to last, it makes me think, all right, so I'm thinking like it's going to feel more like a Mizuno, like an old school Mizuno, old school Asics. Like that's kind of like where my mind is on it. So I'm not super excited about that because I don't love like that feel of shoe. But for some people, like, that's exactly what they want. So it could be helpful for a lot of people. So, I think I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking like, yeah, I might give this a try. It might not be a shoe I make it to 100 miles in, but they're not expensive. They're very reasonably priced. So I'm thinking maybe it's worth a look. John Marshall said, what's on for the mukbang tomorrow? I'm sorry for missing the announcement. I don't have the announcement, but yeah, well, I guess we could start to wrap up. It's 3:45 already. Tomorrow's mukbang, I'm going to be eating, I just ordered some of the Scratch Labs mixed bars, which I didn't know that they did. Maybe they've been doing that for a long time. Maybe they haven't. I don't know. I got a sampler pack. So we'll be sampling some of their bars for tomorrow, seeing how they do. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that'll be the mukbang for tomorrow. It's the same time as today, 3 p.m. Tomorrow's video is going to be I don't know if it's going to be like a running video. I don't know if it's just going to be running in music or if I'm going to talk over it. Well, I haven't quite figured that out yet. I've started writing up a script for it to kind of voice over, but I'm not sure if I'll use it or not. We'll have to see. I'll play it by ear, literally. So we'll see, but that'll be tomorrow's video. And then we'll have that mukbang in the afternoon, 3 p.m. Same time as today. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. All right. In the meantime, everybody, stay warm out there. It's super cold. And if it's going to be snowy, be careful. Don't want to get any injuries in the snow. I guess the miles aren't worth it if you're going to get hurt, that kind of thing. So be careful out there. Be safe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, everybody.